School of Real Estate
Yep.
is the technical name of it. Okay,
Yes,
great.
it is.
All right, cool. And, well, obviously, when I do the intro, we'll talk about Welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, it's 3 o'clock. We are live on Facebook. Hey, we come to you every week to help connect the dots in real estate. Today is no different. We do that by having world-class guests. And today, to my right, your left, I guess, camera, stage, left, right, whatever it's called, is Mr. Jon Carissimo. Now, Jon is not only a licensed realtor, but he is an instructor at the Tampa School of Real Estate. And there's some other things we'll share in just a moment about Jon. But Jon, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, heck yeah. You know, it's funny because it was about, for those who are watching, probably know my history is in the car business, but last January is when I went into new home sales. But prior to that, in the December, I went to real estate school, and it was your dad. It was your dad, Craig,
Yeah.
who was my instructor, and he was awesome, man. I how's he doing?
He's good.
Good.
Still
And,
teaching.
yeah, you know, it's funny because I didn't. I remember him referencing you in the classroom, but I didn't. I never saw you when I was there, and then later I discovered your show, which is a amazing show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. But you know what? Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. When we come back from commercial break, what we're really going to focus on is the realtor who is just getting started, right? How do we really come out of the gate? For those of you, we know that so many people are jumping into real estate, and we know that we go to the school, but then what happens right after that? There's so much that goes into, maybe choosing a broker or what your real estate career is going to look like really from day one and getting off to a good start. And for those of you that are watching, I want to also encourage the veterans, don't let this just be a rookie show, right? Don't let it be just about someone who's just gotten their license or someone who's interested in getting their license. But let's listen to Jon and what he has to share about some of the things that are really going to get us in a good place as realtors in general. So we're going to be right back in just a moment. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back to talk with Jon about that subject. We'll be right back on Under Contract.
I have been using Serial Sales Pro for a little more than 2 years now.
I highly recommend it to anybody who's either just getting in sales. I don't care if you've been in sales 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are.
The shorter videos allows me to keep my concentration and also gives me more of a chance to actually apply that knowledge.
I've learned how to close deals better and be more effective in my communication with these customers.
You know, I think what Serial Sales Pro does for me, it just keeps me sharp, keeps my edge sharp.
My income has literally tripled in the last 3 years.
This year, I'm already slated to make about 50 grand more than I made last year.
I've doubled my income from what I made last year.
It's definitely increased my income, and a lot of that came from what I learned right from Serial Sales Pro.
It's really turned my whole sales career around.
It keeps me ready to get to the next level.
So if you're not plugged in to it, get involved right away.
Let's face it, in today's market, video is the new curb appeal. Even if somebody drives by your listing, the first thing they're going to do is pull their phone out, take a look at that property online. Whether you're selling a $200,000 home in Central Florida, or a multi-million-dollar estate in Palm Beach, Florida, or San Francisco, California, or maybe you need some aerial footage for a site acquisition, email me today and let's get started. Robbie at rmtmedia.net.
Hey, we're back. You're watching Under Contract Live, and we are here today with Jon Carissimo, and he is not only a licensed realtor, but he's also the instructor of Tampa School of Real Estate. And more importantly, well, I don't know if it's more importantly than that, but something fun about it is the fact that you have your own show also. And
Yes.
what's the name of the show?
Two shows, actually.
Well, you know, that's why I just asked what the name of the show was, because you have a show that's the state of real estate, right?
Yep.
And you also have Ask the Instructor.
So you know.
And yeah, I know both of them. I just thought that you had changed the name. I didn't realize you were doing both simultaneously, which is pretty cool. One's on Wednesday, one's on Friday, right?
Yeah, Wednesdays and Fridays, 12 noon Eastern time, and yeah, it's a lot, but we get a lot from it. Not from like for us per se, but from the student feedback that we get from our students and people that are thinking about a career in real estate or that are in real estate that have had their license for years before Tampa School Real Estate was even around, and saying, hey, this is like way better than our sales meetings we do there. So it definitely makes us feel fulfilled, and we're going the extra mile for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's so cool because, you know, there's a lot of people that are in the real estate business, you know, who've tuned into the show, or maybe some people that know me, even people who know me and my family or personally, like, what is it that you're doing? You know, when we talk about the show, and they're like, but why are you but don't you sell? But why are you doing, you know, they're trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. But it's a great marketing tool because not only is it, you know, a chance to really share what you're passionate about on a personal level and get to know people, right? But the show is really just like this show, your show is all about serving the real estate community. And that's that's what I love about it. So today, by the way, is Wednesday. So that only means that
I've been running around like a crazy person.
You
today,
just came from your show.
Yeah, and we had to shoot some promo videos afterwards for some other stuff too. So yeah, it was a hectic day so far, but here now.
Yeah, I appreciate your commitment. I really, honestly do. And it's so cool to have you because going through the class with your father a year and a half or so ago, and now to be sitting here with you doing a show is really cool. But let's talk about what we really came here for today for those realtors who are watching, or maybe you're considering getting a real estate license, going into real estate. It's no secret that it's booming right now. I mean, we are, you know, if it comes in waves, this is like, you know, that dream surfer wave, right?
Yeah.
That we've been waiting for, and here it is, right? So, and particularly in this marketplace, I hear you on your show talk about the fact that Tampa being like the #1 healthiest market
and that's not even
in the
me
country.
saying that. That was, I think it was The Economist or Investopedia, some like legitimate, reputable organization that studies markets like this, not just real estate, all markets, and they're like, yeah, Tampa is the #1 healthiest in the entire country right now, and Jacksonville actually made the list at #5 too. So Florida's actually
Florida's
good
booming
spot right now.
I tell you what, I've been doing some research and the kind of a couple places that stand out. Not like I chose them. I mean, obviously it's the economy, right? But the Florida, Texas, and North Carolina, just some booming areas, some particular cities in those states that are just booming. So we're very fortunate to be right here. And I know there are realtors watching from all over, but for those of you in Tampa Bay, man, appreciate this market that we're in and make the most of it while you can. And speaking of that, my wife, Dina, has just announced that she's thrown the ring in the hat.
Really?
She was with the school system for years now. She is going into real estate. So, you know, with me being on one side and her being on a different, we're going to kind of, you know, we're going to be competitors.
What made her make the jump?
I think secretly, I think she's always wanted to be in sales, but didn't know if she was a salesperson, and she's a complete natural. But here's the sick thing. I'm scared because I'm going to be competing with my wife, and she's not going to believe I said this on the show, but not only is she probably a better salesperson than me and doesn't know it, maybe, or fully know it, but she also is the most organized person, and normally those don't go hand in hand. Like me, I'm terrible with organization. I'm more put me out for sales, right? Don't ask me to figure out things and file things and figure out where things are at. She is incredibly organized, so she's like a triple threat. Plus, from what I understand, she's actually the smartest female in America because she married. I'm just saying. But no, she's really sharp. So she's actually going to be tuning in specifically because of the content we'll be sharing today. But let's talk about that. I mean, obviously, once you go to the school, once you get your license, now so many realtors, and I'm guessing you probably have realtors come to you and go, what do I do? What do I do? And,
that's like our number one question. Even before they're even taking the course, they're already thinking the next step ahead. Okay, I take the course, now what? And
right.
It's
so what is it? I mean, when we leave there, I know we have a couple choices. We can go work for a new builder. We can go into general residential, maybe commercial stuff. But you would say most of your students are going into general residential, correct?
Exactly, yeah. So the kind of the first fork of the road really is kind of your route with the builder and whatnot, but most of the new students, new agents, new licensees are all going with a brokerage because there's definitely benefits. I mean, you're a shining example of that. If you guys haven't seen our video of David Cribbs, go on our YouTube. You could check it out. He did an awesome testimonial for us because it was just a year ago, right, that you got your license?
I started last January.
Yeah, and you've just been a phenomenal example of that. I mean, and I've had people that I've talked to about that. It's like, oh, well, that's because he's with a builder. I was like, that's part of it, but I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it with that, but. So there's a small segment that do go. What drew you to the new home builder as opposed to a broker?
I think what drew me to the new home side, quite frankly, was that I knew that if I went into general real estate, I was going to have to build a business, and I felt being in the car business for so many years, I really thought I had an advantage going into new home sales because I've worked in new car franchises most of that time. So. I equated it to be, there were a lot of similarities in that, hey, we have a showroom, people are coming into the showroom, and now I present the product. So it was territory that was somewhat familiar, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of why. And I really thought I could just get off to a great start, I think, because I had to rely on my sales skills, not my knowledge of real estate. That was the thing. So that was the right fit for me.
Yeah, no, and I like because you had a very kind of detailed reason why with that there. And so what it comes down to, so I've actually done a class before on 7 things you need to know about choosing a broker before you go out there. And that's assuming that you do go with a broker. But what it all kind of boils down to is really knowing what it is that you want out of this. If you're just getting your real estate license or really going into any venture just because you think it'd be a cool thing to do and you're not really thinking about any of the logistics beyond that, you're setting yourself up for failure with that there. So kind of knowing that, hey, that I'd be limited in the brokerage side of things because I wouldn't have that business already there, and that you knew what hand you were trying to play going into it. So that's a big part of it right there.
And I also felt like if I did go into general, I call it general real estate. I think that's something that we've learned to do on the new home side.
Yeah.
Is label it as general real estate. I've since learned that realtors don't necessarily label themselves as general real estate agents, but that's kind of like the terminology from the new car side. Listen to me, new cars. You see the car business coming out of me?
Yeah, definitely.
The new home side, right? So, but the point is that I really felt like if I went into general residential later on, if I decided to make a switch, here now I have this background and this knowledge of what's going on in new construction that would greatly benefit me. Now that my wife's coming on board, she will be in residential real estate. So
she's going to go with a broker.
She's going to go with a broker, and I'll be able to share. We'll be able to kind of help each other learn the different sides.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be cool.
Yeah, no, that's a good fit because that's one of the limitations that people that are trying to decide, okay, do I want to go with a builder or do I want to go under a broker. And one of the big things that kind of because I'm sure you've had people that come to you that say, hey, you're in real estate, can you sell my house, can you help me buy myself?
Right.
And what is it, it's William Ryan you're with,
William
right?
Ryan, yeah. And they don't get it. They're like,
Yeah.
you mean you went to real estate school, but you can't sell me, you can't, so how can you help me, you know? And it's
Exactly.
like, well,
You're like, yeah, I could sell you one of these homes, but
Right.
your home can't do that. And that's kind of like the crossroads, which you have to kind of like decide. Is it more so where you do want to try to like build like a business, because you literally are doing that. There's a lot of pros with that, but there are definitely some drawbacks with that as well. Versus with the developer side, I mean, it's definitely more like you said.
it's
they're
already
coming at your
structured.
showroom.
It's
Exactly.
structured. It's plug and play. You come in. If you can perform sales wise, then you have all the rest already there for you, which is great. I love that part of it. But let's talk about what most people now are looking at is a brokerage and getting starting from scratch. You know, this much I have learned. I have learned that let's say we have broker A and broker B. Broker A wants to give you 90 or 100% commission and maybe charge you a little fee for each transaction, whatever the case may be. Broker B, maybe it's 50% commission or up until a certain point, or maybe it's 60 or 70 split. However, broker B is going to provide you with some training, some team members maybe, some support, different things that where that becomes a value, I would think, especially starting out, like you've got to have someone that you're looking at as to who's the example. What do I need to do here? Maybe talk about
Absolutely,
that.
yeah. So like I said, I kind of broke it down into 7 things you need to kind of look at, and they're overall just very large things, and it kind of comes back to, okay, how does this line up with my plan that I want to envision with this getting into real estate? But kind of like your example, broker A versus broker B. So you're talking like 90 to 100%. Let's just say we have one side of the spectrum where it's 100%, and the other side of the spectrum, I haven't seen this one, but I've had people tell me, it's like, yeah, I'm only cut in at 25% of the commission. So I've seen it. I didn't think it went that low,
Wow.
but I've heard from people that, so, I mean, you've got this vast disparity. Okay, why would I go just take 25% of the commission when I could go and get 100% and only have to pay like a monthly fee or a $100 transaction fee or something like that? But it does come down to you get what you pay for with that. When you're in that 25% type of position, you're probably giving up that 75% for quite a bit of benefits, whether that's leads that are being given to you, or you have ISAs that are in place, or administrators that are helping put like your contracts together. So literally all you have to do is go out and show a property, and then the rest is taken care of for you. That might be where it's worth it, because when you start to value your time more than the actual money, if you're able to prosper with that one kind of little bit that you're supposed to do, like say it's showing the actual house and you're able to show the house like nobody else could show houses, then that definitely makes sense. But that's really the first thing that I like to talk about when I'm like, okay, you're trying to choose a broker, is number one, understanding the money behind this. Not only how much you're going to be cut in at a split, but then what type of fees a broker is that it's going to be charging. Do they have any sort of annual dues? Do they charge desk fees? And if you are paying these fees, because I'm not one to say that all fees are bad, it's just what are you getting out of those fees, and is it something that you're going to want to use? Somebody might need an office space in an actual office, where somebody else might just say like, no, I just want to work from home. I don't want to ever go into the office. So
Yeah, you know, and one of the cool things that I have seen, and maybe this is something that we can learn in the car business side for my car peeps that might be tuning in, but one of the things I've seen that I thought was very interesting was the fact that now you have, and I don't know if it's, I'm kind of a little bit familiar with the Keller Williams model, and that seems to be a really popular model when it comes to a lot of support and team players, kind of thing like that. But what I find very fascinating is that that brokers, and maybe they're taking it from the Keller Williams model, I have no idea, but I'm seeing that a lot of brokers, including Keller Williams now, are offering free trainings to non-members, if you will, or people that don't work there, people in other words, it's open house, and they're providing training. Now, obviously, that's a tool where they're basically courting potential realtors to come to work with them. But I think that's so cool that, like, you just don't see that in other industries where, hey, this is company A and there's your competitor, and by the way, come on over here for our sales training.
Yeah, well, and I mean, and to an extent, I mean, yes, you are competing at a certain point, and like maybe like there's these two opposing brokerages that are competing for a listing, but ultimately one's going to win the listing, and then that other broker might be the one coming around with the buyer. Now all of a sudden they're working together and they're both making money and they're both happy and all of that there. So it's definitely, it can be very competitive depending on how you're looking at it, but it also is a very kind of cooperative type of industry that you really don't see in many places.
Yeah, I think I was thinking maybe kind of more from the perspective of the individual brokers who own the business. Like their desire is to get more realtors working under them because obviously they're going to grow their business. But now let's talk about let's just say we've chosen a broker. We've chosen a broker. And let's play devil's advocate here. Let's go with broker A.
Okay.
We're going to get almost all the commission.
Little in
However,
return.
we're like floating in the middle of the ocean and like we don't, the Coast Guard isn't around, nobody's there. What do we do? I mean, what would you suggest are maybe a few things that, I mean, it's day one. I've got my license. I've chosen a broker. Now it's all me. Now what do I do next?
Yeah. So let's say you did just kind of like venture in and you're brand new to this and you're going into like one of these 100% brokerages because, I mean, and you'll still get marketing from these brokers because they want to get as many people as possible, just like any other broker.
Sure.
And let's say you end up there and that could definitely work and be where you could be successful. But what you have to keep in mind, and this is again kind of knowing where it is that you want to go and what to get where it is you need to be, what steps you have to take, you're pretty much on your own in that respect. I mean, these 100% brokers, they're created mainly for more veteran agents that don't need the support and they're able to do everything themselves, where they're almost like their own business and the broker's just there for the legal purpose. So you could definitely put yourself into that position as a new agent, but and so one of the things I also like to talk about, and then going back to like the Keller Williams, because they tend to be the larger brokerages as well, is you want some sort of personalized attention, whether it's from the broker or maybe you have a friend that is in real estate that knows what they're doing that's at that 100% brokerage. That might be something that brings you in and draws you in there if they're willing to give you some personalized attention to tell you that, hey, look, you shouldn't spend, and this is, I like to say this a lot, but it's one of the things I see all the time from new agents where they kind of like almost fixate on these little things because they don't know what they need to be doing sales wise. They don't know how to make a cold call or go knock on a door or do whatever it is they need to do to lead generate. So they'll focus on like changing the background color on their website and making the picture look absolutely perfect when no one's even going on the website to begin with there. So
which really, and I'll leave this up to you for one of your shows. And I know I think I saw something along this lines on one of your shows already, but I think that a lot of people, and it may not just be real estate, but real estate's a great example. They believe that if they spend their time, and maybe I think it's actually driven out of fear that they're not going to the activity versus going to the marketing. Marketing is great and wonderful, and obviously, we're doing that here.
There's a time and place for it.
Right. There's a time and place. The problem is you like this isn't my business. This show is not my business. You know what I mean? This is just like something that helps me get more brand awareness and hopefully at the end of the day builds relationships that will eventually lead to more business. But it's those activities outside of here. It's the the other 40, 50, 60 hours you're putting in of activity. And I think that I think that I just feel like a lot of people focus on if they check off the boxes of they set up the email right and they've
designed their business
they've
card
joined all the
like,
Facebook groups and they're at the mastermind meetings and they're going to the conferences. But if you're not,
they're good, but it's second to doing actual sales
knocking
activity
on the
like
doors.
that. Exactly. Yeah, it's stuff you need to do, but that's not the first thing you need to do. The first thing you need to do is go out to get somebody to pay for the marketing activities. And so you could pay for somebody to design a business card in 5 minutes, where instead of it taking you 5 hours to come up with a layout, and again, going back to valuing your time with all of that.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, if you're not that, and I would say most of us aren't that type of person that's just going to get up in the morning and head straight for door knocking, right? So if you're not that type of person, then probably the broker that has all that support where that when you show up in the office and you have your cup of coffee after that, it's kind of game on because you don't have a choice, right? Like you're going to, and I don't mean like you don't have a choice like you're going to have a sucky attitude. I mean, like you don't have a choice like the train's moving, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, hey, now I've got, people supporting, people moving, you can get motivated, you can do things, and you can have a clear direction because you're following a business trail that's successful. So I think that's important.
Exactly,
as well.
and when you find yourself in one of these brokerages that end up with the lower percentages of splits and whatnot, that's where they do have that little bit more of a structure and organization and environment that's more conducive to, hey, we know what you need to do, this is what you need to do, as opposed to like the 100% brokers and everything. Again, they work for some people, but it's people that already know what to
Typically
do. Know they have to go
veterans.
out there and exactly. People that've been in this and they know they have to knock on doors or do this, or they have the money to pay for marketing and they're still doing the activities behind it that support the marketing.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of switch gears here, and because of our time limitation, this is a short show. It's only 30 minutes. But when we move to our new studios, we're going to go to an hour-long show. We're going to have a couple different segments, so that'll be exciting. But what I really want to focus on right now, because we have you here, is let's talk about your show, because your show is amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the biggest thing I can say about your show is, number one, you're a natural, so that's why you're an instructor. But more importantly, your content, it's what you would expect if it had a link to a school, in a sense, because you're showing us what really, you're breaking it all down. Like, for example, I just watched an episode that you had on I believe it was Ask the Instructor, not the State of Real Estate, but I think it was Ask the Instructor. But you talked about like commercial leases and how to break them down, how to understand them, how to understand why there's opportunity there, how to figure out your commissions, how to do things like that. And you did the math and you walked through it. And like, those are the kind of things that like I know that my wife is going to be tuned into immediately. And things like that, and I enjoy them as well because I'm trying to learn everything I can. That's why I have one of these guys sitting next to me today, an expert. So, so tell us how to view your show.
Yeah. So if you go, the easiest way to probably get to it is tampaschool.com/success. It's tampaschool.com/success. That's our success center, and we created that not only to house our shows. We actually started that before we even did like these live streams and whatnot. And we were just kind of like doing articles and things like that, and we realized it's less intense, I guess, to make a video, or one way to look at it. So you can find all that there, all the past shows, the State of Real Estate we do on Fridays at 12 noon, Ask the Instructor, 12 noon on Wednesdays. And if you're trying to understand more technical things like the leases and whatnot, that's Ask the Instructor. That's we do that on Wednesdays. We get more into like calculating out numbers and things like that. And then on Fridays, we're doing the ones to kind of like elevate your business up, stuff like follow-up strategies. That's one we're doing on this Friday, open house strategies and things like that, and just kind of going over and above what you would learn in the actual classroom. Right. So it's kind of a coupled with a little bit of motivation, business strategy, kind of lifting up of certain things, activities, things like that. I love it. And by the way, I'm going to encourage you. Obviously, we have a huge realtor audience, also people who are new in the mortgage business. You're going to see how the mortgage ties into the real estate side of things on occasion on the show. But most importantly, I would gather, if you can, as a broker, gather your team around, make this your sales meeting. John, when we first opened up, you talked about the fact that those segments of that show, it's like a sales meeting like on steroids in a sense. Yeah. And where this show is more like hopefully a little bit entertaining, a little bit relaxed, but exposing some great things in real estate. And also learning a few things along the way. So definitely. But yeah, so we're going to go to. I appreciate you being on the show today. We're going to put the link to your real estate I guess, do we call it a podcast now? People call it all kinds of things. Live videos, podcasts, streams, whatever. Yeah, just go to tampaschool.com/success. Call it whatever you want. Just go there. Right. Just put your email in. You'll subscribe. You'll get email notifications every time we're live, and you can tune in. And what's great about that is, and I'm sure you guys do the same thing, where people could put in like questions and ask about certain things. Yeah. If you're watching the live show, John will answer your questions live, just like we would if I was paying attention. But but John is paying attention, right? Try to, at least. Sometimes I'll miss a few. But and my guess is you go back to later and try to look after the fact, we'll go back and comment and like, oh, sorry, we missed you on the show, but this is your answer. Right, cool. So we'll make sure our live stream is up. And obviously, if you're considering going into real estate and you're looking to get a real estate license, this guy knows some people. So so let's go to Realtor of the Week. We're going to jump here and see who, drum roll, please. We announce a Realtor of the Week every week. Realtor, okay, I like that. And it is Lorianne Morse. Come on down. You're the featured Realtor of the Week with Florida Congrats. Luxury Realty, and I'll share kind of. But first of all, Realtor of the Week. They don't know they're going to be Realtor of the Week until how do they get to be Realtor of the Week? Well, that's a great question. That's what I was going to share. It's really simple. I look at social media. This show is a social media channel. So what I do is I scour social media and see who is really out there doing that. Yeah.
the thing that we talked about that really is the root of the success, which is
Yeah.
knocking on doors, going listing houses, getting listings, and then getting them sold, and then getting them under contract in less than 1 day, Lorianne Morse. Because, yeah, so she's had several of those, and that's why she's Realtor of the Week.
Well, congrats.
So hashtag boom. So hey, join us next week. And now my mind's going blank, but I will announce a couple of upcoming events, and I'll share this with you as well, John. We're going to be. I've talked about this for the last couple of weeks, but transitioning to the new studio. We'll be doing that as of now. We have a solid date. It's going to be the first week of July. We'll be in the new studio. We are also launching the website undercontractlive.com. It's going to be a fully interactive and mobile-friendly website. You're going to love that. And also, we are going to be we'll be covering and we'll be at the Florida Realtor Expo in August. Are you familiar with that?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
one in Orlando.
Mhm.
It's the 101st.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the 101st.
I wonder a while.
Which is, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's been a while. So is it 101 years? Is land
This
that
was
old?
like 1916.
Is land that old? Is there land that old in
Oh
this
yeah,
area?
yeah. The MLS actually dates back to late 1800s, believe it or not.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. So wow,
Before
that's
computers.
crazy. So so we're going to be there, and what's cool about that event is when we're there, we're actually going to do live. We're going to do commercials, 15-second commercials for every realtor that stops in our booth.
Really?
Is that
Wow,
crazy
yeah,
or what?
That's crazy.
And then we're going to send it to them as a promo that they can put on their websites. Another thing is they're going to be able to sit down and get photographed as host of Under Contract. They're going to be able to
Really?
do that. It's going to be super cool. We're not selling anything, by the way, at that event. So come to our booth. It's booth number 229.
And they're getting this is their commercial.
This
right?
is their commercial.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be super, super cool. You got to come see us at the booth, and that's in August. And we'll probably have some of
That's
the...
worth the price of admission.
Yeah, that's
to
what I'm
that
thinking.
there.
And
Yeah.
we'll probably have some of the keynote speakers or speakers on the show leading up to that show. Hopefully Damon John from the Shark Tank will be here with us. Maybe, a little lofty, but hey.
Yeah.
You know. But hey,
stars.
next week, Under Contract. Don't forget to join in. You got to take these, John.
Okay.
It's our signature. We throw the papers at the camera.
All right.
Hashtag boom. See you next week.